You are listening to the We Hired a Sitter for This podcast.
We hired a sitter for this.
We have a roster of like 7 sitters.
I hate authority, but I'm a mom.
I'm an old man. I need orthopedic shoes.
The laughs, the chuckles, the TMI.
Some people might say, why would you have kids? The oceans are rising. The economy's collapsing.
And they're not wrong. I'm Ross.
And I'm Patrick.
And we hired a sitter.
Mic check. Mic check. Hello.
Mic check. Mic check.
Hello. Is this a good check?
Mic check. Mic check. Hi, Peg.
Hi, Peg.
Peggy Piccolina.
Hello, Peggy, and hello, viewer, and good evening, listener. Welcome to episode 161.
We're just getting right into it.
We hired a sitter for this. This is a Ross episode. My name is Patrick Holbert, and this is my wife over here.
Ross, Erin, Martineau. Nice to see you.
How are you?
I'm all right. You know what's worse than that? This.
Oh, I hate a cross-body opposite handshake.
Because that's not a handshake.
Because then you're cradling that person. You're like...
It's just like, what am I, holding Fran's hand? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, give me your full mitt in the correct way.
Give me your mitt.
I'm self-conscious about how I look on the couch. I'm
because you're slouching.
I'm like... I'll be like this for the episode.
You can pull a Jonesy and put a bunch of pillows behind your back.
No,
this couch you just sink in.
Well, I'll be comfortable. I'll just slouch back and be comfortable, and then just hate my body and how. But if I do this with my arm, people won't see how chonky I am right now.
Chonky, so chonky.
You ever send a text so chonky?
That's for our deep cut Kif fans.
Yeah, this episode we're going to talk about all the children's shows we love and recommend. Number 1 is Kif.
That probably would be a good angle, actually.
Yeah.
And
if we just did reviews of kids shows.
Anyway,
for anybody that's about to tune off, we
that
actually
was a joke.
We're not going to do that.
That reminds me of our fucking animatronics we have in this house for Halloween, which one of them I said, you have to take the batteries out because I can't live like this.
Yeah, our child, we have a goth 4-year-old who's obsessed with Halloween and she wants a spooky house, and we've decorated this house. You can't see it here. This is a haunted map of the United States because this is a haunted country.
That's right. I know. Every time I really look at this, I'm like, we really should turn this around.
Like this is so close.
It's the whole world on the other side.
But it's all ratty on that side. But having a picture of the map of the United States is so close to having an American flag in your house.
I know. It doesn't feel right for us anymore.
No.
It's time to sell it.
Yeah, it's time to leave, I think. This episode is coming out the day after Election Day. So,
really?
We're recording right now on October.
Not that we'll know. But.
We're recording on October 29th right now, and next week will be November 6th. It's Tuesday the 5th is Election Day.
Think?
Yeah, I guess we won't know results. I talked to an attorney recently. I was at Franny's birthday party, and the parent, the parent of the child who was celebrating is a lawyer, and I said, "We're not going to know anything, right?" And he was like, "Oh no, it's going to be a mess for months."
Well, they're already finding absentee ballots boxes being burned.
Getting burned, yeah. By the bad guys, right? And we'll keep it vague who we think the bad guys are.
Take your guess.
No, but is it the right that are like finding these boxes?
Well, this was in Washington State.
Yeah.
Which I don't know where they fall. Like, I mean, obviously I know Seattle, but
I think it's a typical thing. Cities tend to go Democrat.
But I don't know if Seattle, like New York City, makes the whole state blue.
Right.
I think Washington State is blue. I think.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be nuts.
It's going to be a fucking hellscape.
Yeah.
Like, buckle up.
The good thing is people online and on the news are going to have really level-headed conversations about it. People will be reasonable. Yep. They'll have balance and they'll be fair. And they'll do it with kindness.
Respect and dignity. That's what this election cycle is about.
And they're not going to literally like horrify their children with how they talk about the other side. Mm-hmm. Like no children are going to be harmed in during the dialogue and the conversation.
No.
Children will just be like, oh, grown-ups, they really take the time to hear each other out.
Mm-hmm. Good listeners.
They don't name call.
Yep.
They're accepting of all kinds. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad to be a young person in this country where I know I'll grow up into a peaceful community.
Oh, God. I'm really struggling.
Yeah. Well, how are you? Is this your first time on the podcast in a couple months? We've missed you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Thanks
for having me back.
Yeah. The viewers have been clamoring for your return.
Hey, viewers.
It's good to have. It's fun that we now have theme music for whether it's a Ross episode or a Gas Store episode.
Oh, really?
So it's kind of fun to plug in the original track.
Oh, because I'll be on this one.
I'll revert.
Into.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cute. I like that.
Yeah, we got your sound bites on there. It's like a real talk show that we have over here.
Yeah, it is. I'm happy to be back. I appreciate some of your Let the Records show.
Oh, did you listen?
Last week. Yep. Whenever it came out.
That was out last Wednesday.
Yeah. So no, I was not a smoker.
So you're a listener of the podcast. That's interesting. When you're not on the podcast, you're also a listener. You're like a member of Hair Club for Men.
Because I like to hang out with you. And I don't get to that much. So
how sad.
So it is nice to hear. It's also nice to hear how you're processing things. Because I got to be honest, sometimes I'm like, oh, really?
Oh, I didn't know that about him.
Really?
I'm learning things.
Interesting.
Maybe I could listen to a podcast of yours. Could you start a separate podcast so that I could understand where you are?
That's the thing, though. I think that you know where I'm at.
Yeah.
I think.
Could you just record your therapy sessions and post them to me individually as a podcast? Oh. That'd be like a Patreon level.
That would be.
I'd have to pay for that.
Yes. And, I don't have time for the edits.
You don't want me to hear everything.
And they do require some edits.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I come up?
Did I come up? Do you guys ask your significant others when they have therapy if you came up? Do you do that? Write in. Let us know.
Did I come up?
Oh, that's interesting. Is there something in particular that you liked hearing me process?
I'm trying to think. Well, I think it's just the dynamic of you and Gastor, like listening to you talk to another man, another dad. Like, I don't observe that ever, really, where I'm just listening. Like, if you're talking to another dad, I'm like, peace, I'm out of here.
I mean, finally, there's a space where men can just talk.
Right.
And
women
can
sit
listen.
down and listen.
Yes. That's the whole point. By the way, now you know where my vote is going on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think it's just like, I'm trying to think of things that are specific that I was like, oh.
I'm curious if the time wait, did I say this on the podcast? Did I say anything to Gastor about us having an argument and I went in the bathroom and locked the door and waited there till you left? Did I say that on the podcast?
No. When was this?
Maybe I was just telling a buddy about that.
Wow.
We had a heated argument that it was just not going to end. It was not going to end if we kept talking.
Here, right?
No. She was at school. And
was it after couples therapy?
You had to go. I think it was before. I think it might be what led to couples therapy. It might have been
when I was like, "Oh, is it fucking annoying?
Yeah.
Is it fucking annoying?" And I just like left without talking to you.
Well, yeah, because I went into the bathroom and locked the door without talking to you, and I was like,
"No, I wasn't talking to you. I wasn't talking to you.
I wasn't talking to you. I made the decision. I'm not responding any longer to her."
No, I wasn't talking to you.
Nothing is going to be accomplished in this conversation. So I'm going to go in the bathroom and lock the door and wait until I hear this door close.
I love that you locked the door.
Yeah, I wanted privacy. I wanted my privacy.
Wow, that's great.
I had echoes of my mother saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I, at that moment, did not have anything nice to say.
Yeah, me neither. That's why I left without saying anything.
I was like,
I didn't say anything to you.
Yeah, I was on an embargo, an emotional embargo. No more emotions for her.
Wow.
Wow. Anyway,
So no, that didn't come up on the podcast. I
said that on the podcast.
I mean, maybe you did. I don't know
maybe
if
you're
I've
just
listened
not
to all of them.
Yeah, maybe you're not listening close enough.
Well, and I haven't listened to all of them.
Yeah, and since that argument, you probably needed a little space for me. The last person you want to listen to is me.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to laugh, and I'm not coming here.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on, that was a good dig.
Oh, high five!
High
five!
Well, you know what I thought was interesting was Gastor's understanding of addiction.
Oh.
Or lack thereof.
Oh, he was asking about who's allowed at meetings.
Who's allowed at meetings? Smoking cigarettes, which was like circling back to like me going to smoke cigarettes.
Smoking weed.
Yeah, like why isn't that allowed, or is it, or whatever?
I think when he asked if you could go to meetings if you smoke weed, it sounded like he knew the answer, and also he was genuinely curious.
No, I know that. Like, I think he did sound genuinely curious. I think there was some sort of transition in the this is a recap podcast.
Yeah. So if you're listening to for the first time ever in your life, go back. We have 160 other episodes.
Like, these are all when listener listens to a podcast and you wish you could be there to be like, you want to chime in. I'm getting the chance. Yeah. I'm taking us back, and I'm saying this is what I wish I could have said if I had been there.
Yeah.
Well, and then I think he correlated smoking weed. I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just like processing, but correlating smoking weed to smoking cigarettes. It's like, oh, well, if you're not really sober, if you're smoking weed, like you can still come, but like in the understanding of 12-step recovery, you're not really sober. And he was like, but you can smoke cigarettes. And I was like, yeah, you can smoke cigarettes. You can smoke cigars. You can eat too much sugar. You can consume too much caffeine. Like, we all know these are stimulants and things that you can become easily addicted to, which is also why there's so many 12-step programs.
Right.
But as far as the drinking and drugging one, we just keep it to the self-prescribed mood and mind altering.
Yeah.
Right?
Anything that can get you high. Yeah.
Which, of course, when I smoke a cigarette, do I get like the tiniest, littlest buzz?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, same with cigars. I was talking to somebody recently about cigars, and I was saying I do recall a nice little buzz from it, but I think I smoke the way I drank. Like, I smoke cigars too fast. So I'll smoke, if it's like a tailgate, like a long day of hanging out with people, I'll smoke like 3 cigars. And I'm like, that's not worth the mouth cancer.
Disgusting.
Like, that will probably trigger something horrible in my esophagus. So I've just decided better not go down that road.
Yeah, you're like, I'm never going to smoke them anymore?
Not like that. More like, I guess, if the situation like really called for it, like my buddy's getting married in the spring, which I don't think I've really talked to you about yet.
Oh yeah, I heard Arizona. I mean, we're not doing that, but you can.
Well, I'll probably go. Yeah,
which I think is what you fell on.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Like at something like that, like it's fun to like smoke a cigar with the guys outside. I like, especially in the wintertime, if you're, go outside, smoke a cigar when there's a loud event going on, because that's something we could talk about. I think I'm done with loud events.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think I'll. It's not never, but it's like I'm not gonna. I certainly don't want to be a person that gets into cigar culture.
No, of course. Disgusting. But if that's your thing, great. No judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like when you're sober, you've been sober a long time, you find little things that just give you the smallest inkling of the feelings that were destroying your life. Like, can I dip my toe in a way that isn't going to be a relapse, that isn't going to trigger me?
Yeah.
For me, that's an occasional cigarette. For me, that's an occasional treat yourself to some big dessert. Like, go out for a nice dessert. Like, which, we don't. And also for me, paying too much consistently for iced coffee. I'm like, you know what? I don't go out and spend money at bars, but I'm going to have my fucking overpriced cold brew.
Yeah.
Every day or almost every day because I like it.
Because I'm worth it.
Because I'm worth it. And I spent hundreds of dollars a day on booze for years. So it's like I'm allowed to have a fucking coffee.
Yeah. Did I ever even process with you my close call with kava root drinks? Yeah, that I remember thinking, oh, this is too...
I mean, the point is to get intoxicated, right?
For some people, most people, well, it's actually classic addiction stuff. People say, oh, I just drink it to relax. But
right.
I was like, I feel very relaxed and a little bit silly. And I can't be having this.
There is a kava bar like around here, right?
Yeah, in Central.
I'm like, what is that culture? I don't even know.
I think
what's going on.
I think it's sort of in line with California sober stuff, where it's like, well, if I want to fight my girlfriend every time I get drunk, then I'll just smoke a little weed and do things that come from the earth, and I'll drink kava.
Right.
I'll take some shrooms every now and again. Then it's not a problem. And I think there are people that can legitimately do all those things.
Sure.
I guess I get something that comes up for me is like, I feel this so strongly with sugar and ice cream that like I just need it and want it so bad, and I hate that. Like I hate that last night when I texted you, I was like, I should just go to bed without trash, but I knew you would be coming home and I wanted ice cream, or my body wanted ice cream, and I hate that I have this hardwired desire. And I think with kava or shrooms or whatever, or weed.
That'd be, I mean, it wouldn't be funny, but like theoretically, you just like really getting into hallucinogens out of thin air would, because that's like so not your personality.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what happens. Those people are like, well, I need something.
Yeah.
You know, and I would love to be in a place where I just truly don't need anything.
Sure. Well,
like
that's impossible.
Like a Zen Buddha or whatever.
Cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that a little bit with like the CBD vape. Remember when I did a CBD vape for like a minute?
Yeah.
This is not a smoker's cough, by the way. I have a little bit of a cold, okay? And I have not been smoking because I can take it or leave it.
Yeah, when was your last cig?
Sometime last week.
Do you think if I picked up cigs, I would put down ice cream?
No.
And I'm sorry I'm obsessed with this. I have an updated gas store on this.
Yeah.
Because he shits on me a little bit about it. But I made it, I think 125 days with no junk food. And then, about a month ago.
With no like triggering processed dessert foods.
Right. And about a month ago, you know where it started?
What?
Inessa's birthday party.
Oh, that ice cream cake.
The ice cream cake. I was like, I can have one bite.
I did see that slippery slope occur.
In the next couple days, I was like, I'll just have a couple. Oh, you know what I did? I changed my rules. I was like, all right, so I'm going to go from no junk food to I just won't buy junk food. And if there happens to be an open container of something, like an open bag of Milanos.
The old no hard liquor.
Yeah. Well,
just doing beer.
I'm just not going to buy it. It was like, it was literally like, I'm never going to open. I was like, I just won't open any packages of anything. But if there happens to be.
Those rules are crazy.
If it happens to be an open container, I wouldn't want this to go to waste.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't want it to go to waste, so I'll just have one of these Milano cookies. I'll have a couple of these M&Ms. Oh, and then the apartment shows. The apartment shows show up. They got a bar, like a literal, like a table created for candies and popcorn and snacks.
They got, what is that called? Like in TV and film.
Craft services.
Yeah, you got craft services.
Well, it was art directed. It was like, it was like, welcome to comedy night. And it's like all these movie theater snacks.
At the adult dorm facility.
Yeah. But they had M&Ms and Reese's Pieces. And I was like, well, it's work. I'm at work. I can have a little bit of this. Work. And then I discovered.
I'm not sure how that correlates, but okay.
And then I discovered, that's where I started drinking soda, because a couple of them were just such challenging nights. And I'm like, I deserve a little cup of soda. I can have a little cup of soda.
We're just always looking for a crutch.
It's
like we want, which I think is pretty common.
But you know what happened? What are the minty movie theater chocolates in the box? They're white.
Junior mints?
Yes, Junior mints.
I discovered hate those.
Well, I like them when they are an aromatic addition to existing candies. They ordered all this candy on Amazon.
Blending?
Listen, they ordered all this candy on Amazon and it got shipped in the same box together, and the scent and the odoriferous nature of the Junior mints rubbed off on all the other candy. And these are in separate boxes. They're literal movie theater boxes.
That's crazy.
I'm eating a box of Reese's Pieces that are minty.
That have like a peppermint oil patina.
And I was like, I like I like this thing that I've invented. Or that was
you've invented.
that FedEx invented, or whoever does Amazon shipping now.
Oh God.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I haven't backslid all the way to everyday consumption. Maybe today's day one again. Who knows? But I had a pint to myself last night, and then a couple nights before that. And both nights I'm laying in bed feeling sick. I'm like, why do I do it? Why do I do it?
I know. I mean, and this is actually how our style of addiction, I think, differed also in using. Like, you had times when you were still drinking where you would try to stop, right?
Yeah, a bunch. Like, I definitely would, especially with the girlfriend, like, promise I'll stop.
And you would have
I'd
some
go
success,
like,
right?
maybe a week or whatever.
Well, and even that you just didn't even start drinking until college. Like,
yeah, I didn't start until I was 18. Yeah.
Like, I was like, not interested.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. I literally remember there was a time, and it was probably, I think it was as I was approaching grad school, which was like the fallout of my drinking. And I just knew that I was like hitting it so hard. And I think I was like, I'm not drinking. Like, I made the announcement to people, and I think I made it 2 days.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is why I don't do this.
Yeah.
This is why I don't make announcements and like say I'm trying. Like, I'm like, because I never wanted to stop.
Yeah.
Like, and I had built my lifestyle to make it so I didn't have to.
Yeah.
And I only hung out with other people that weren't expecting me to, really. But then I was like, time to grow up and like go back to school. And I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
But it had to be like all or nothing. Like, I really was not a person that could like try and stop. Like, it just was not for me.
Yeah, I was big on making pronouncements like that about adding stuff. Like, I'd be like, this year, I'm gonna like, or this month, or during this winter, I'm gonna make a whole album of songs. It's gonna by this time in 3 months, I'm gonna have this done, or whatever. And yeah, that's when I learned, like, telling people about stuff ruins it.
It's not
it really gets funky, and you put too much pressure on yourself.
Yes.
And then the disappointment is just such a fucking bummer, and then you end up drinking more. And I would drink over that kind of stuff, where I was like, well, I didn't make that thing happen. So.
Yeah, I've had, like, I definitely have learned that lesson quite a few times. I continue to learn that lesson. I think I'm a little better at it, like making announcements of like, this is happening. And it's like, nobody needs to know.
Yeah.
Like, wait until you're actually doing the thing, making the thing. You're like thoroughly invested in the thing. Yeah. And then be like, maybe I'm up to something.
Yeah, I might have a little something up my sleeve.
But yeah, and I mean, who doesn't, right? I love, like, one of the most, like, I don't know if relaxing is the right word, but like, I just felt good in the space between getting accepted into grad school and grad school not starting yet.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm going to grad school.
Yeah.
I've got a plan, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm better than all of you. I got into a bunch of graduate programs. I'm going to go be a social worker and help people. But for now, yes, I'm still waiting tables and getting fucked up every single day. Okay? But guess what? School starts in September.
I mean, that reminds me of that feeling of when I get a new box of pens and a new notebook. I'm like, It's time. Greatness.
It's back to school.
Greatness is about to occur.
You get the
Just
gear.
Give me a couple days to regroup, and I'm gonna hop right to it.
You get the gear, and also I think I had such a disappointing college admissions process that the graduate stuff was really affirming for me. Like that honestly, that I was as drunk as I was and I managed to even get applications out is kind of a miracle.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I did that.
Yeah.
Surely I could show up to grad school.
Yeah.
Like, and
they're like, okay, so now it's when it gets hard.
Yeah, you wrote a single essay. You wrote a single essay.
Wait, the essay I did for my application doesn't just give me a diploma?
Yeah, that's not grad school. That's not a master's. But you said I got in. But you accepted me.
There are 1,000% people who think that way about the world.
Well, sure,
you know what I mean?
Sure. Well, and it was also like, I knew I got into hard programs and like not getting to NYU for undergrad, although a gift because I would have died or not graduated, was always like a heartbreak for me. Like it was all I wanted was to go to NYU. Like that was my vision for all of high school. And of course I didn't get in, and because my grades and test scores and stuff did not reflect that. And then I got into their grad program and I was like, yes, I got into NYU. Meanwhile, thank God I didn't go because I ended up dropping out of grad school, and that would have been like $100,000 mistake.
Yeah, a much more expensive.
For a master's in social work? Like, what are you doing to people? Anyways, I don't know how I started going down this rabbit hole, but
just talking regrets, setting the record straight.
Talking regrets. But it is interesting how you're like, oh, I'm just not going to buy anything, or I'm not going to like open a bag.
Yeah.
Whereas like hanging out with people like you while using, I fucking hated that. Like people that were like, they're like, I'm never going to buy my own drugs. Like I'm just going to be around.
Yeah. If it happens to fall in my hand, I'll put it up my nose. But
because I was like, I am going to be in charge and make sure that I have the drugs and the alcohol that I want no matter what. And no matter what means I'm overdrawing that account.
And you have numbers, you have contacts.
Oh, yeah.
You have,
obviously, I'm talking more about like, do I have the money?
Yeah.
No. The answer is no. I'm just overdrawing that account.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's see if this ATM will give me a few $100.
Have you ever like bumped into an old drug dealer on the street?
No.
And did you know any of them by fate? Like, did you ever repeat people?
Oh, yeah. My Coke dealer was like a number I called constantly.
And it was the same individual would come?
Yeah.
And you were buddies, or like
No.
it was just a business relationship?
But it was like a large older man whose car I would get into to buy drugs.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember a guy I worked with, he would order drugs to work, and the guy would come, they would go to the men's room and trade money. And it was a huge...
I'm like, is that surprising you?
I think he would get...
Then he could do the drugs right away.
Well, he would get weed, so he wasn't smoking the weed there, but it was a huge clear plastic jewel case with like the nugs or whatever in there. And I remember thinking, that's so attractive, like that. What a nice way to sell a product like that. And
the clear like lucite.
Hard, hard plastic,
yeah.
And then I think he started buying pills from that guy too. But
you just start working your way up.
Yeah, and it was just so funny. It'd be like, oh, he's like getting some random dude from the lobby and they're going to the bathroom together, and then that guy leaves. I was like, something's going on here.
My cute hon. He's like, what on earth is he getting up to?
Yeah, I'm like, why don't you guys also have just like a little mouthwash bottle of Jack Daniels in your desk? Because that's more the vibe. I had that for a little while, and that was after on a cruise. I wasn't drinking at work during work. It was more like I was drinking it at work at the end of the day before going out.
Wow.
And then occasionally we'd go down to the deli, get six packs, bring them upstairs, drink a couple, and then go out.
I had a flask period where that was me trying to cut costs at the bar.
I don't know how everyone's not just using a flask all the time.
Well, I'll tell you this.
I'm like, there are days where I'm like, I could use a flask right now. like out in public
drunks.
in the world.
We're drunks.
I'm just like,
But let me tell you what the flask did for me. I just drank double the amount.
Yeah.
I wasn't cutting no costs.
Yeah, you're
I
still.
wasn't cutting no costs.
I like the idea of you doing the numbers. There's a line graph. There's charts. You're giving a PowerPoint presentation.
I'm just drunker.
Flask, post flask, spending the same amount of money.
Just drunker. And actually probably spending more money because I'm like, we gonna need cocaine fast.
Yeah, so we don't face plant.
Because I am drunk. It's like the things
and then you lose the flask because you got so drunk. You're like, I need another flask.
I had my flask period with Jeff, actually.
When you were doing the flask, did you have to fill it with the little tiny funnel?
No.
You just winged it?
Yeah. I think it was probably a mess.
Mm.
It was a dark time. I mean, and Jeff, who was just here recently
visiting
us. Was just visiting us recently, who also does not drink or do drugs.
I just
anymore.
mixed up just chips with tricks.
Yeah, you're melding inside jokes
memes from your life,
my personal life that you are not there for.
Yeah,
but that you love.
That's marriage, you know.
That's marriage.
You just take on the other person's personality.
That's marriage.
Shames, regrets, grudges.
There was a period where, during the same period, flask era, where I was failing out of grad school, was so broke, spent all my student loans, overdrawing my account, in just worlds and worlds of denial. And Jeff was my bestie at the time. We were inseparable, leading a very codependent friendship experience where we were just like, we would like go back and forth sleeping over each other's house. Homosexual, obviously.
Sorry, I have to interject. I just had a fantasy of a codependent friendship experience genre of sex work. You know how you can get the girlfriend experience with a sex worker? Codependent friendship experience. You get a sex worker who's just all up in your business too much.
Who's just there and is good at like feeling the vibe.
Yeah, they're like,
wait, what you need.
They're like, you're sad? I'm sad too.
Exactly, because that is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Like, Jeff and I paraded around Williamsburg, just like going into different, like always going out to dinner. Like, we have money.
Like you're ballers.
Like just crazy town. And
you're like that couple on Instagram.
The rich couple?
The ones we were just looking at last night, the funny waiter and waitress duo.
Oh, yes. We were that, except like horrible and mean and judgmental and like probably smelled bad. Like,
that's interesting because he's such a sweetheart.
Yes.
It's interesting.
One might say I am as well.
You are. And do you think you brought that out in each other?
Yes.
Or was it the drugs and alcohol? Was it all just a mixture of funky hate?
I think it was a classic combination of like, we both were kind of in a similar place. We both definitely had drug and alcohol problem. When you find somebody else who uses the same as you, it's like, you're like, oh, finally.
That's the codependence. You're rocketing each other into this other realm of
But we did, obviously, we're still friendly, and so we had something deeper. And I mean, sense of humor was huge. Like, we really thought the same things were very funny. And so we spent a lot of hours watching things on YouTube, watching old SNL clips. Like, you know, that was like a big part of our life together.
Did you watch the Ron Burgundy sketches? The why am I blanking on Will Ferrell? The Best of Will Ferrell DVD.
Back in the day, probably.
I just feel like those Best of SNL DVDs really had a moment in the aughts.
Well, I guess I watched those in college, probably. Not so much while I was like fucked up.
Okay.
Excuse me. It was like a lot of like there was some like Maya Rudolph and Fred Armisen where they're like weird art nerd, like snooty art dealer types.
Yeah.
And they can't say like regular people's names. So like the people visiting them in the sketch, like their names were like Patrick and Ross, and they were like Boronin. They like just like can't say it. So Jeff was in my phone as Boronin for like a very long time. Or no, he was Borfus and I was Boronin. Just like stupid shit that. We're like, nobody gets this.
Yeah.
And Yeah, just a lot of like.
Cut to 15 years later, he's in our home where not a single alcoholic drink has ever been drinking.
Yeah.
And he's playing with our 4-year-old daughter like a sweet, neighborly uncle.
Yeah.
Sweet man.
And Fran was like obsessed with him.
Yeah.
And he was obsessed with her and they were so cute.
I'm like, how did this happen? Who's this guy? Who's my wife? I didn't want this beautiful house. What is my beautiful life? How does those lyrics go?
Something like that.
It's crazy.
Which, I mean, that's one of the very grateful stories is like, I'm so glad that he found his way out of that too. And that like we can have a different relationship.
Yeah.
And still talk about those times and laugh about how fucked up it all was and how crazy it was.
Yeah.
But like we can do that because we're on the other side taking good care of ourselves now.
Yeah. So I feel that way with Josh a lot.
Yeah.
Like we saw each other do some gnarly stuff over the years and he's just like the best guy and when I think of like my lowest moments that he was witness to, I'm like so ashamed, but like I know he still loves me and like didn't ditch me over any of that stuff.
Well, and accepts that was like you were a kid still in some ways. You were trying to figure shit out.
Yeah.
Some real nostalgia core.
Wow.
Right?
Who knew? I thought we were going to set the record straight.
I know. Memory lane. So the record straight is I did not smoke. Oh, okay.
All right.
So you were saying when you were setting the record straight, you then went on to say, oh, she never really smoked. She just sometimes smoked when she drank. Also not true.
Oh, okay.
That's the whole point.
All right.
I didn't smoke cigarettes when I drank. They grossed me out.
Oh.
So, wow. But I was like, I lived with a smoker. I dated a smoker. So it was like secondhand was always around. So the idea of smoking like really fucking grossed me out.
Oh, that's so funny. You just reminded me. I wonder if I can talk about this.
Can you make up a name?
So this morning I went to one of the book club meetings for drinkers, ex-drinkers.
You always like change the way you say it. Can't you just say 12-step recovery?
Yeah, sure. I'm just being cute.
I know, but I think it's confusing.
All right. Well, I went to the meeting and I was sitting next to, I was sitting on a couch like this. I was one of 3 people on the couch. Yeah. I'm all the way on that side. Newer person is over here. Old school member that you know that I talked to you about another story the other day was in the middle, who I love.
Walter.
I love. Well, there is a Walter but this is not Walter, so I don't want to.
I would say Walter because I always think that's what this guy's name
Eugene.
is. Eugene.
We can say Eugene.
Yeah, it's got a Eugene quality. Okay.
But I don't want to put people. Nobody listens. You're not. Nobody.
It's fine. Nobody cares.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Eugene's in the middle, and he starts talking to the new person. He goes, "You're a smoker, huh?" And the person's like, "Yeah, yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, I can smell it on you."
Oh my God.
And the person's like, uh-huh. And he's like, "Yeah, no, it's no problem. It's just, studies say smoking's really bad and
Jesus fucking Christ.
And secondhand smoke is really, really bad, and I try to avoid it. But third-hand smoke is when it's in your clothes and you just carry it and it stays in there. It's really hard to get out, right?" And the person's like, "Oh, yeah, hey, I can move if you want." He's like, no, it's no problem. I'm just saying, I'm just talking.
I'm just a fucking whack job.
I'm just like, dude, don't, like, I don't know. I don't, actually, I have a weird thing with cigarette smoke. As you know, I like to make out with smokers.
Nostalgia core.
Yeah. I do.
Because his parents.
Yeah, because I want to make out with my dad. I make out with smokers because I want to make out with my dad.
Smoke all the time as a child. Yeah. Unrelated to the asthma. Okay.
There's no correlation.
The research
the science is inconclusive.
That's right.
So yeah, I kind of like the smell of cigarette smoke.
You okay?
I have no core strength. I can't watch this footage.
I think it's good.
Does this look natural?
Yeah, let it out.
If I sit like this?
Let it out.
What do you think of my new jeans?
This whole look brought to you by
Nailing It by Ross Erin.
I had enough.
Nailing It with Ross Erin.
Let's
roll that in. Roll the tape.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine? Should we?
If you want to give yourself that amount of work to do,
we made a fashion web series that was quite good, and I think we should bring it back.
I don't give a fuck about fashion.
We could do it about your doula work and call it Duelin' It. Duel It with Ross Erin.
Duel It. Does that roll off the tongue? I got a great name for a podcast about man on the street about doula.
How about
Duel It?
How about a finance podcast called The Moolah Doula?
That's actually not bad.
The Moolah Doula.
Well, and the woman, you don't know, but the woman who runs this doula collective I'm a part of, she is like a money doula. She helps people that are small business owners.
How did she not go for Moolah Doula?
I know. That's a missed opportunity.
The infomercial writes itself.
The infomercial writes itself.
I'm sorry, I had so much kava before the shoot.
All right, what were you talking about?
Just smoke and how I don't mind the smell of it. Like I kind of like the smell of it on people. Like I'm like, that's a person that they're doing they march to the beat of their own drum. They don't give a shit. They're smoking cigs. They're just doing it.
They march to the beat of their own drum by the millions.
And the drum has them brainwashed. The corporations, man. So I'm just like I've just accepted that sometimes you sit next to somebody that smells away, and it's like whatever.
Especially in a fucking AA meeting.
Yeah. Whoops. You just leave it be. You don't comment. You just never comment on how anybody looks or smells.
No, and if you have a problem with it, you take care of yourself. You get up and move. Yeah. Don't make this fucking person feel weird and self-conscious because guess what? It's not your space.
Right.
And they're not fucking smoking a cigarette in the space.
Right.
Like, yeah they're close. Don't like it. Okay, get up, move. Like, oh fucking well. We're in a goddamn basement. Who gives a shit?
We're in a society here. So that was just a thing that happened.
Hard left.
Yeah.
We went to a haunted house.
Oh my Lance. I don't even know what that means. You say it.
I know. It's
oh my Lord. We went to a haunted house right over here in Bushwick.
That's right.
And we got to meet our neighbors.
Yeah.
They were working there.
That was the haunting.
Yeah, it was just
like,
line
oh
of
my
neighbors.
God, we have to meet our neighbors.
They're like, hi, I'm Steve from Saddam Street.
Yeah, we went to a haunted house. Our first time going to a haunted house.
You never went. We never did that
We've
together.
never done that together, no. We did do, we both just belched.
Speak no more. Hear no more.
Speak no more.
No, what is it? Silence.
I just had it on the tip of my tongue.
Oh, what is it?
Speak no more.
Say less.
Say less, do more. Sleep no more.
Super polio. Sleep no more. Yeah.
So, yeah, we did Sleep No More, which kind of feels like a sexy haunted house, but really it's the story of Macbeth.
Yeah. With dance.
No, this was a proper haunted house. But when we got in, which I did not know, they were like, so this is a bit of an escape room situation. And I was like, motherfucker.
Ross was like, I hate puzzles.
And
I don't do them with him at home, and I'm not doing them tonight.
Well, and I'm like, you want to give me a panic attack? Tell me I'm trapped and the only way out is a puzzle.
And it also screws you into a group activity with people. You just wanted to go to a thing with your partner.
Yes.
Now I'm on a double date with these two blondes from
with these children.
Turtle Bay.
These fucking children.
These two Murray Hill blondes that work in, they definitely work in marketing.
They might as well have been 16 years old.
Yeah.
They're probably 22, but like, what's the fucking difference when you're a couple of old bags like us?
It is crazy. Everybody looks like kids now.
Well, and behind us when they were talking like talking about breakups, and I don't even know exactly what they said, but it was something just like, I mean, that's why I try to tell them. It's like, if you don't want to be with me, then like, let's talk about it. But it's like, if you're not texting me back, then it's like so disrespectful. And it's like, I am like still on the apps. Like, I want to date other people, but like, I'm really into him. But like, if he's not telling me, and then like Sarah saw them out and
That is its own horror show.
Truly.
That should have been its own room in the haunted house. Is just a group of women like that or young people like that talking about dating apps problems.
Yes. And I just wanted to be like, girls, ladies. And I get down on their level. I'm like, girls, let's talk about it.
You're like, I'm the ghost of wisdom.
I'm like, ladies, have I been there?
If they're under 30, they're fucking idiots. They're ghouls.
Yeah. You don't want to mess around with a boy in his Saturn return or less. No. Okay? You don't want to do it. I'm like,
that was
take a look at this guy.
That really was me at my messiest.
Yeah. It is. It's the mess, especially I think in New York City with like the Peter Pan of it all. Yeah. It's like peak.
Yeah.
Because you're rounding the corner at this like new decade where you're supposedly supposed to be an adult.
Yeah.
But New York City's like, you got the world by the balls, boy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're 27. Or let's say it starts around 25, the real messy. You're 25, you're starting to make some money at work, you're newly diagnosed with HPV, you have a drinking problem that is out of control.
And you're like, it don't get no better than this.
There's so many really kind and beautiful and smart women who would like to be close with you, and you just can't
jump
decide.
On that D. Come and take a ride with me on my trumpet D.
You can't possibly give them the respect of one-on-one attention and affection
or communication that's like not where you're at. You're kind of trying to figure some shit out, blah blah blah.
And even though you got health insurance, there's no fucking way you're taking them up on this offer to check out your mental health.
No,
you're not doing that.
Because then they're going to tell you to stop drinking.
Yeah. I can't believe you just did a rendition of Triumphant D on the podcast.
I know. I do have to honor you because that is your creation.
Yeah, no. Let's call that a sneak peek. Maybe we record that one properly.
Come and ride with me on this Triumphant D. I don't know if you guys do this, but that's how we woo each other into intercourse.
A
bit of a country satire. Come and take a ride with me on this Triumphant D.
It's an ancient mating ritual.
Panty dropper. Done.
Yeah. Get on top. Climb on top.
Of course.
Get on top of that D. Triumphant D. Come ride with me.
If you're wondering how we keep the magic alive.
Now can't you see?
What was the one that we came up with this morning that Fran wanted us to shut up about, which was really good?
Listen to your body if you got to use the potty. Listen to your body
if you got to use the potty. Listen to your body. You got to use the potty.
She's like, stop.
Yeah, she's like, I hate you guys. I'm like, this is just the beginning, Francis, of you just wanting us to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And if you don't get on board now, then you're going to miss the ride. So you might as well contribute a verse or two.
And the ride is not of interest to you because you want us to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's going to get so much worse too.
Oh, yeah.
But as I like to tell her, it's the long-standing tradition of daughters not wanting their mothers to sing ever.
She also doesn't want us to have fun.
Sometimes.
There's times
she
when...
doesn't want us to have fun, just the two of us.
I just want to cut a rug. I want to do a little dance. And she gets one glimpse and she's like, no.
I think it's like she just has her mind set on something else that she hasn't revealed to us, or she tried to and we didn't understand.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you don't understand. We're not doing that.
So you and I have had many heart-to-hearts over the years and more recently about how important it is for me to respond to you and to listen to you if you're delivering information to me.
And now you got two of us in the house.
And now with Franny, I've accidentally or mindlessly cut her off right when she's about to tell me something, and it drives her insane. And she literally falls to the floor and cries. I'm like, she'd be like, hey, Dada, I was going to tell you. I was like, oh, what? That Leroy is going to go to school? No! I was going to tell you that the show is bad, whatever. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm an idiot. I got to let her finish her sentence before I jump in.
Where I'm just like, no, that's not what I was going to say. If you would let me finish my thought. So you get screaming, crying pile on the floor, or like
daggers.
I'm going to cut you with my voice and my eyeballs.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I just go in the bathroom, lock the door, and just pray that you guys get to school.
Both leave.
Yeah.
Get these women out of take my wife and daughter, please.
Yeah. All right. Well, I gotta go.
Okay.
It's so fun to chat with you. It's nice to meet you. I hope you had a good time on the podcast.
I did. This was fun.
Did you?
Yeah.
We could do these. We might have to do a couple extra. I may have to beg you to do more.
I know, before you go make money for our family potentially.
Yeah. I'll share with the listener. I don't know if this is going to happen, but I just got a call to go work in Europe for a month for a coaching job, and I have to say yes to keep this family afloat.
Because capitalism, yeah.
So there could be a backlog of episodes that get recorded. I don't know if this is happening. I'm going to check my text messages right now, and we'll see.
We'll see.
But we'll make it work.
We will. We always do.
I was just having a sad thought about Zooming with Franny to like read her books at night or something. And I'm like, am I going to be awake in the middle of the night in Europe to like connect with my child? And like
for a couple weeks, maybe.
What will a month away from her feel like?
Shitty. But it's temporary. And I think we're going to have to do some mantra work before you leave. Like, we're both going to have to like maybe have some like, and this is not normally my style. We might need to like really write out some shit that is like in front of us. Like, I'm going to have it on like the mirrors, the doors, like this is for our family.
The moolah doula.
This is going to like provide for us. We're going to be able to go on a trip, like remind ourselves what the purpose of all this is when we're feeling low about it, because that will inevitably occur. So I'll get some Post-its and get back to you.
Oh, yeah. Let's go to the stationery store, get new notebooks and pens.
That's where it all starts.
Yes. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.